So, anyways,
Los laburantes que estaban acá son ustedes.
if I'm gonna get into why, like, Portland's, why and the manner in which KKRZ, went downhill, and why Portland commercial radio is awful, and nobody, almost nobody even mentions, KKRZ anymore, because they were the they were basically the top 40 station before all this. But how in the manner in which KKRZ went downhill is that in the 90s, what we got when it came to what the top 40 market would not be top 40 would not be defined the same way in 1996 as it would today, in that what you would get in the top 40 would be relative to the local market. It would be top 40 within the Portland market, not and within the broadcast range of these radio stations that are in the area, and within their where the tuner range of it, that would be considered, if it was the top songs in that market, that would be what would be considered top 40. But now what we have in place of that at KKRZ is an amalgam of what's popular nationally, which sucks. I hate to break it to you, but Americans and what they like on average have like basically nothing to do with what people in this city might like on average, and what the top 40 was. It would not, if top 40 was only considering what was the top 40 songs in the Portland area, it would look completely different than what it looks like with today on KKRZ. And this is how it goes downhill. It ends up being this amalgam that is simulcast across the entire nation, and it sucks. It seems like I've spent, a lot of time, and what do I hear? Alice in the Chain wasn't released in like 1992. Why am I still hearing Brewster on alternative stations? Just doesn't make any sense. For the longest time, I thought it was simply substandard radio stations in the Jacksonville area. When I moved from San Francisco to Mississippi, I noticed about a 6 to 8 month lag in music. I knew every time I went back to visit, I'd get a glimpse of what I'd be hearing on the radio 6 months later in MS. Now I hear Alice in Chains all over this country. I hear Laurel Revenge in Turkey, and it seems as if there hasn't been a new band introduced in 6 months. Is there really such a dearth of good music out there that when a half a decent song comes out, it's played internationally? So little good rock that Alice in Chains makes the lineup. Now we have HD radio to look forward to, hybrid digital, not high definition as some people believe. Radio sound that is marketed a lot like satellite radio, but without the monthly fee. But of course, all it really is additional channels offered by the same stations you're looking for an alternative to. And satellite isn't much better. Sure, they have 10 good bluegrass channels, but but you'd have to listen to bluegrass. There are plenty of rock stations, but you end up hearing the same songs over and over and over again. It's like you can't designate an angry girl with lots of guitar channel or white rappers from Orange County channel if that's your thing. Plus, you have to pay for it. HD radio and satellite both boast about their increased fidelity, but I've heard satellite and I wasn't impressed. HD radio says it has near CD quality, but with a maximum bit rate of 300 kbits versus CD's 1,400 kbits. I've got to believe that the CD they were comparing it to was fairly compressed. I'd love to believe that there's a higher fidelity free music option out there, but it really doesn't seem to be the case. A lot of people think the death of radio has been the iPod. I don't agree. iPods are just too much work for Joe Consumer. You have to pick your songs, download them, organize them, upload them. It's a hassle. Of course, when we had free downloads, people took advantage of it, but now that you have, if you're a law-abiding citizen, it is to pay for them. A lot of the motivation has evaporated. Who wants to pay by the song, or worse yet, download songs off CDs you own just so you can listen to them on your iPod? Why not just carry the CD in your car? There are some music podcasts out there, but look at the big record labels, and it goes to eat them alive if they ever dare to get popular. While the internet radio has a lot of things going for it, free, plenty of options, there aren't any real good options if you're getting into your car. There weren't, for a while. Some cell phones can access Pandora. It wasn't a viable option for a long time until we were able to stream it to the car. But shit's changed, though. I mean, now Pandora is a viable option, and in the meantime, this is the kind of crap that we have to deal with. It's awful, and this is the fucking simulcasting bullshit means that there's no local identity anymore. None at all dead, all dead and gone, and a thing of history that's only remembered by those of us that have, well, for one thing, done the research, or and asking the same questions. Why does like contemporary radio suck so much? And then you get a sense of what happened and the disaster that the Telecommunications Act of 1996 actually was, that allowed these assholes at iHeartMedia to buy up almost the entire broadcasting spectrum in the United States. And then what did they do? What did they do with it? Almost immediately they went to firing all the local DJs. And the DJs may not sound like locals, but and they may have their annoying shows, but at least they periodically would find something and take a risk on exposing the local markets to things that they predicted the local markets would be into. Nowadays they don't take risk. Are you kidding? Everything is all it's all focus group to death until it's awful and vile. And some of the worst parts about it and these focus groups and all this shit is that I'm not one of the people that's being subjected to, like, and they're not asking the opinion of people like me. Like, I'm not being surveyed by these people. They're asking old white ladies, Volvo driving soccer moms who have like almost nothing in common with my takes on just about anything, instead of me.